there. Thanks for staying put with Enterprise TV, where we hold the tradition of truth. It's your usual program, the Middlemen of Jurors, where we dissect the uncomfortable truths, amplify the voices you don't hear enough of, and put the powerful where they belong, right under the spotlight. This is not just another talk show, it's a courtroom of conscience. And today, we are holding the system accountable one case at a time. My jurors and I are here with our groundbreaking cases. Our esteemed juror from Rabbi will be presenting a case titled The Paradox of Happiness. Juror Henry Igwebuike would be looking into the life of one of the nation's patriarchs in his case titled Gowon, Villain or Hero. Juror Emeka Madunagu is here with a case titled Nigeria, a country of forced errors. And I, Juror Innocent Adulugba, will be asking a question. My case is titled Are Armed Forest Guards the Panacea to Terrorists or Insecurity in Nigeria? All of these cases and more are coming your way right on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. My case. Are armed forest guards the panacea to terrorist or insecurity in Nigeria? Recently, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the establishment of forest guards and commencement of their employment to secure the 1,129 forests in Nigeria. The president has directed that the forest guards are to be well trained and armed to perform their duties, which is essentially to flush out terrorists and criminal gangs hiding inside the forest for criminal activities. The recruitment is a security collaborative effort between the federal and state governments. I am concerned, and my worry is that this may fail from the beginning if trained and armed guards are posted interstate. Perhaps because of trust deficits and the primacy of Fulani headsmen as the largest suspects, each state should recruit only their indigents to protect their people and their forests. Again, are drones scarce or underutilized in every local government area in Nigeria? Drone surveillance offers numerous benefits, including real-time monitoring, cost effectiveness, enhanced safety, and improved situational awareness. Only recently, there is a viral video of Nigerian soldiers being tortured and killed blatantly by the bandits. So, are there no drones to recce the bandits' hideouts? Why are Nigerians celebrated army across West Africa and the world playing catch-up for nearly 15 years in our own country? My verdict, please, Nigerian government should halt every terrorism and insurgency at once. With all sincerity, we have the capacity. The unsightly and gory pictures and videos are an insult to our collective sensibilities. Gentlemen.
Well, very well. This is a very important case, given that it's a case that strikes the chord of our corporate existence. I mean, forest guards, okay, the way we're having the formation is really going to work based on your case. Like you suggested, it would have been better that we have it state by state, right? People will be able to guard their own forests and their own people because of the deficit of trust that we have. That if you make it a national issue, what I mean national issue is if you want to make it, because we like to federalize things. Yes, we federalize, centralize things, and at the end of the day, we fail in the way we go about it. Meanwhile, we have a state approach, a regional approach, where every community they know the bad guys, they know the good ones, they know people who are the strangers and all that. So from security formation, we can actually make use of, just like they say, police is local. I think security is also local.
It is.
Yes. So let people in their respective community, the federal government should deploy these resources across this community, provide enough incentive, and let the communal people manage and guard their own communal space. That's what I think the solution is. But because we like to federalize things and then we like to also nepotize it, before you know that nepotism will come in, the people who will be recruited will now be, senators will now be bringing slots. And then I say, my slot, this one slot, that one slot. On security matter. So we must, I don't know when the federal government will learn. Okay, I don't know when, but it's unfortunate that they come up with good policy, they come up with good ideas, but at the end of the day, they will now hang it on the altar of federalization, centralization. And at the end of the day, it will not trickle down to really address the main issue it is conceived to address. Then before you know it, those who are supposed to be protecting the people will turn against them, like the police we have today. There's no policeman on the street today that is out there to protect any citizen. As we speak now, Nigeria currently, none of them is out there to protect any citizen. They are out every day for their daily bread. Is that how to run a country? Is that how to police a society with this kind of population? Not just an ordinary population, hungry population. So, I mean, we need to do better.
Yes, yes. I think this is another proliferation of security agency yet again. The NSCDC was actually set up for this kind of issue.
Yes.
Ensure that our community is totally safeguarded. Ensure that all the cubicles and places where the police force cannot get to, the NSCDC are supposed to be there. They're like the neighborhood watch, always there in our forests, in our streets, the communities, black spots, pipeline and all that. Bring in intelligence, feed them to the police, and it can be shared, along, so that they can all come together and solve the problem. But because we have woefully failed from every security agency, from the Nigerian police to the army to the DSS to every single one of them have failed. So we keep thinking that proliferation of agencies every other day is the solution, but obviously it is not. Before you know what would happen now, these same forest guards will start guarding the chiefs and the kings of the communities that they were supposed to even protect in the first place. I would love to believe state governments on their own have done as much as they could with the allowing adoption of vigilantes to take care of these things. And some vigilantes have been doing awesomely well, like the one in Edo State. After the Uromi, kicking in and all, what did what was the name, Obebelo do? He wanted to disband the vigilante, and up until today, some of them are still complaining that the way he's going about them is not very good enough and all. So the question now is, with these forest guard people and the vigilante and the Nigerian police, won't it be a conflict of interest at the end of the day? So why not let's go back to what it used to be before? Ensure that our Nigerian police force do the work of policing, because if they do the work of policing, then things would get better. In my community where I come from, we only just have one police post. Before all of this IPOB and ESN thing, in that particular community, everyone respected that police post. Every single person respected that police post, because if anyone commits a crime, he knows and he is very sure that one single police post, may be manned by just 4 policemen, were able to safeguard a community of over 800 people. But because they have watered down their value, their symbolic value that they have, nobody considers them any longer. In my community now, we have people who call Omoma, safeguarding our forest. But of course, they are in loggerhead with the security. So every single weekend, the army go there to make bombardment, a retaliation of one thing or another is always ripped all over the place. So I think this is another proliferation and wastefulness of resources that should have gone to the Nigerian police force.
Yeah, but we have forest guards now.
They have been there for decades now, for so many years. So what forest gas is the president talking about? And I think the Land Use Act vests, trusteeship of lands in Nigeria in the governors. So what is the business of the federal government with the forests, except those places where mining is taking place? I think the clamor should be more of restructuring. Let's restructure this federation, hand over all those resources to the states. Then let states work out arrangements for securing them. You see, this over-centralization and over-dependence on Abuja is what is really keeping this country, in the throes, in the doldrums of poverty, and what is making us unable to actualize our fullest benefits. You can imagine how many people will leave Lagos and go back to their states, get jobs in security and others, if you restructure this federation. That's, for me, is a better way to look at it than to talk about just federal police. You are still over-centralizing the federation. We should restructure this federation. It is just getting so annoying. Now the North has agreed for state police. Let's see. Let's hope that the National Assembly will pass the state police bill into law so that we can start from there.
Okay, much said about it. The debate continues. My take is you don't transfer somebody from Owerri, this federal guy, to go and be working in Akure. Let it be localized and avoid over centralization. As we go on this break, to return, Juror Evans will be telling us or educating us on the paradox of happiness. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Please stay with us.
Welcome back to the Middlemen of Jurors. Thank you for staying tuned. My case, the paradox of happiness. The hedonic treadmill is a fascinating psychological concept that reveals a paradox inherent in our pursuit of happiness. No matter how much we strive for joy through achievement, possessions, or experiences, we often return to a baseline level of happiness. This phenomenon suggests that major life events, whether positive, like landing a dream job, winning a lottery, or negative, such as experience a significant loss, have a limited and temporary impact on our overall sense of happiness. Over time, individuals adapt to both their joys and their sorrows, often leading to the conclusion that the pursuit of happiness, if seen as a destination, may be a futile endeavor. Reflecting on the implication of this concept, it becomes evident to me that chasing happiness as a primary life goal can lead to a frustrating circle of striving without fulfillment. When we constantly pursue happiness, we may find ourselves in an endless loop, setting new goals, dreaming of the future achievements or accomplishments, and believing that once we achieve these milestones, we will finally feel fulfilled. Yet, when we achieve our goals, the joy is often fleeting. The anticipation, excitement, and satisfaction of winning a major award or reaching a personal milestone quickly gives way to a return to our baseline happiness level. This can lead to feelings of emptiness as we start to seek out the next big thing to chase after. The irony of this pursuit is that the more we chase happiness, the more it ends to elude us. We may become exhausted by this never-ending race, feeling as though our lives are revolving around the next big achievement rather than the moment that truly matter. This exhaustive chase can divert our focus from enjoying the richness of daily life, the simple pleasures, the cherished memories, and the subtle nuances of human relationship. When happiness becomes the goal, life can feel like a relentless sprint with no finish line. However, there is a different approach we can take, a shift from chasing happiness to embracing life as it unfolds. When we learn to relax and appreciate the present moment, acknowledging the good, the bad, and the ugly, we often find out that happiness is not a distant, elusive target, but a state that can exist alongside our experiences. By letting go of the relentless pursuit and choosing instead to savor each moment, we cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment. Think about the everyday moment that brings joy, sharing a meal with a loved one, taking a walk in nature, or simply enjoying a quiet moment with a good book. These instances may seem mundane, but can infuse our lives with genuine happiness when we allow ourselves to be fully present. Embracing the entirety of our experience, both the high and the lows, teaches us resilience and gratitude, enriching our lives with ways that the pursuit of constant pleasure never could. Moreover, being present allows us to cherish the journey rather than fixate on the destination. It inspires an appreciation for our unique narratives, which are often composed of failures, pains, joy, and learning. When we acknowledge that every experience is part of a larger tapestry of life, we can let go of the need for everything to be perfect and instead find value in the messiness of existence. My verdict: the hedonic treadmill challenges us to reconsider our approach to happiness. Rather than chasing it, we can cultivate a mindset that celebrates the present moment, accepting life's up and down. By doing so, we may find that happiness is not a fleeting achievement, but a steady companion throughout our journey, enriching our lives in meaningful ways. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Well, this is a beautiful, beautiful look at what life really means. If life was all about money, if happiness was all about money, then the rich, there wouldn't be the need to say the rich also cry. I know of a family, billionaire family in Nigeria today. The father and his children are in court, fighting over the company their father founded. Company made billions into oil and gas and all that, but they are fighting in court today. I mean, this is a family that, people will envy. I wish my father was as rich as this. But would anybody wish to be in court with his father, fighting for family's property? So, and there are cases like that here and there. Is it the poor? Does poverty give happiness? Then you just find out all of these things are just fleeting, like the narration has, stated. So that means there is something deeper we should attain, we should strive for, beyond just happiness, maybe coming from having a cold beer or, a fleeting achievement, I think it really x-rays a lot about what happiness is. well, the conversation continues.
Okay, well, life. I watched a movie and I was surprised. The young couple in love, and they told each other, "Let's make memories." I've never heard of that before. I thought memories when something happens, you stay where you are and think back. So, but it dawned on me that it is what you make joyful now.
Hmm.
You can remember happily
Later.
after.
Yeah, well, after.
Last night too, I was reading around 1:30 a.m. and the person also said, "Let's make happy memories." This time around, I wasn't taking off that. I was cool with it. So, happiness are in moments, moments of little things done well, done right, or tackled well, head on, for possibly the desired solution or objective. Unfortunately, this kind of presentation from Rabbi, I think some of us will have to start seeking Rabbi, not him alone. If it was from the book, and you are selling it in a place like Nigeria, you won't sell. It's so
Yeah,
abstract.
yeah, it's very abstract and
Disconnect.
Nigerians will tell you anyhow,
It has-
anyhow where we
it has
see
the
am,
vintage-
can make we take
social
am.
reality.
Yeah.
it has the vintage appeal.
Yes, if you put this, let me say it, maybe in Senate-like developed world, somebody will pause to leave what they are doing and digest and read
Yeah.
again.
In fact, you have to go through it more than once
Yes,
to
a lot of
properly
value.
interpret.
Yes.
Yes, very, very, very true. And actually, this reminds me of Steve Jobs when he was about to die. He actually died with a net worth of 7 billion as at the time. He should be one of the richest men then. At the time he was dying, he said the only thing that kept him comfortable on his dying bed were the clicks of the machines that were always with him. He got so used to them that they were looking like somebody was actually having a conversation with him. At that point, he declared that there's actually no difference between a $30,000 wristwatch and a $300 wristwatch because they all say the same time. And for anyone that cares to, go through that and read through what he had said in his last days, should be like a clarion call for everyone. There's this a movie I actually watched. Jennifer Lopez, I guess, she starred in one particular movie where she was told she had about 2 weeks to die. She had cancer or something. So it was said she had only just two weeks to die. In fact, that 2 weeks was the best 2 weeks of her life. She spent it, went around the world, enjoyed what she was afraid of, went for skydiving, all those things that scared her. She went for them. Say, okay, let me just enjoy myself. If I would die, let me die. Just after the vacation and all that, she was told that it was a mistake. It was someone else's result that was given to her. But she felt like that moment was the most blessed moment in her life. And so this is just more like it's poetic at the same time. It's speaking in our faces.
Yes,
This case I particularly wrote for Lagosians, and many of us who feel that we are not doing well. We should not be preoccupied with the destination of life. We should focus on the moments, because sometimes we are going somewhere and your mind is not even in the journey. Your mind is in the destination. When are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? You walk yourself out. But there's a lot to enjoy in the moment, on the way, sightseeing. There are so many things to stay around, so many things to learn, so many things to observe, and so many things to talk about. But we feel that our life is not complete until we have all the billions. Until in the quest for our excessive focus on the vision, we lose track of the now. We lose track of everything that actually we're supposed to absorb alongside the way, so that at the end of the day we can tell a very good narrative. Take example, there are only few Nigerian millionaires or billionaires that you can ask how they made wealth and they'll be able to explain to you.
Very true. Very true.
Many of them cannot explain it because they were not in the moment. Their focus and fixation was in the arrival, the destination, and we have to make it big, quick, so that we go and show. We can, just all about that. That is why they did a study not too long ago, and they say almost 90% of Lagosians have high blood pressure. That is because it is given. I mean, why not? Why not? Because people are not ready for the moment, okay? People are not ready to sit down, relax, absorb the jokes of the time, absorb the moment and all that. They are, no. They are about to hit it big time. And as such, they must be on the run at every point in time. But life is not designed that way. Even Jesus said that he that tried to keep his life will lose it. You understand? The one that tried to gather, you will,
Very deep.
you will, yes, you will lose it. You understand? The one that scattered will find it. You understand? So it's just because I noticed that my cases all the while have been on the government's not doing this person is not doing that, there's crisis here. This is the week I took JAMB to court. I should be talking about JAMB today, but I said no. I don't want to talk about any JAMB. I want to just sit down, relax, write something that is, easy, talk about life, absorb the nuances of time and the rest of that. And I feel that this is what we must all do and enjoy once in a while. So, Juror Emeka would be here with a case titled Nigeria, a country of false errors, right after this break. Please stay with us.
Thanks for staying tuned. My case, Nigeria, a country of forced errors. Nigeria is a country where the leaders and the people engage so much in a comedy of forced errors. In other words, a land of people who know the right thing to do, but take a different route. When it backfires, the first resort is to find absurd excuses, from justifying to excusing or defending the indefensible. In fact, you hear tales that make you wonder the reasoning capability of the talkers. Name any kind of absurdity and you must find people to justify it, or they deflect attention. If you complain about power supply, somebody might ask you if it's compulsory to use energy. The current scandal is a gross ineptitude of the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, in the handling of 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME. The Education Minister, without investigating, Dr. Tunji Alausa, without investigating, quickly said the resulting mass failure was a manifestation of its anti-malpractice policy. One of his predecessors said something similar. Go on social media and see a mirage of excuses about what amounts to a national fiasco. My verdict, Nigeria, my country. Let us learn to speak the truth. Nobody's above mistakes we hear, but it's also important to do all you can to avoid glitches. During the collation announcement of results for the 2023 presidential election, the IREF went off. All these things make us a laughing stock. What a country.
Wow. Well, in false error is a term used in the game of tennis, where because of your opponent's batsmanship, you are playing catch up. I mean, if you have the ball and you are to serve and you still miss it, it's now an unforced error. So that application here, it's a direct breaking of our consciousness or conscience. I read a book, I think it's common, 1 Week, 1 Trouble.
Yes.
And the character, Wilson Tagbo, is always in one of the Wahala he was in, one of the chapters, can the dead offend?
By Cyprian
Frequency,
Yeah.
Yeah, the dead can.
Yes.
I remember, I heard there was a pope who died, and his corpse was exhumed. He was tried and flogged.
Well,
Very perfect.
on this case, apart from
So the dead can really offend.
apart from the practical, in this case, there are many good things like Barrister Alfili said in his case of happiness. He wants to stay away from Nigerian, but it's all over us. It's almost what we cannot do without.
Yes.
There are many lovely opportunities. Look at even the beginning case of armed forest. It's what is in the purview of governors. They waited till the president waited, and we don't know how effective it will be. The destiny of children going for jam on the threshold of chasing their future dream. See the handling.
No, you know why they waited for the president? So that money will accompany it.
Okay.
There will be a special allocation from the federal
And
government
then
for
the
ferals.
president allocated centrally would dictate how it will go. And
Yeah. And mess up everything.
The efficacy will be lost.
Will be lost.
This is calling on all of us as Nigerians in your rooms, on your streets. Just do things right by doing the right things.
It is the
And then it
aggregation.
trickles to the government.
Yeah, it is the aggregation of rights that builds a nation.
Yeah.
Okay, so look at the case of JAM, for example. When we started complaining, the public outcry, the JAM DG came out and said that no, that they did what they are supposed to do, that this is the outcome. That is the standard and state of the students' capacity to perform. And no, we went off the hook and said no, threats everywhere, public outcry everywhere. He just made a decision yesterday, called his team together and said, let's do a review, perhaps, and just in 2-3 hours they are going to dig deep into the causes and effects of that outcome. They stumbled on a revelation. And he called a press conference and started crying. But earlier on, we said, go and look at this. Because last year's JAM, if you benchmark it with this year's one, you cannot agree with the outcome
At all.
Because last year and this year, nothing has changed that has obviated our intellection or the intellection of our children that will make them to have this kind of outcome. If you did not take them through stress, and if you don't have technical glitch and all those things, the outcome cannot be this. There's a boy that did a video yesterday that is scored over 276 last year. And now he scored 155. He told the world that I cannot score 155.
Yes.
You understand? He had a friend who, he was sick on the day of the exam, did not attend the exam. The boy had 300.
Yes, I heard that.
So, I mean, he said,
That's a gift.
so at the end of the day, we said, he went back. Because if there were no public outcry, and if we didn't go to court and some other person didn't threaten, for example, this thing will go like this, okay? But look at the benefit of speaking out. Look at the benefit of being a watchdog in society. It has excavated a revelation that, we're only crying that this couldn't have been, and see where we are today. Now, you compare it with the technical glitch of INEC and the JAM. The difference now is what I want to accentuate. JAM is coming out to make promises. We, in the lawsuit we filed, we're asking JAM to set aside the exam, set it aside, conduct a fresh one. One thing JAM cannot tell me is that they don't have money. They can't tell me that. They can't tell Nigerians that they're generating billions for federal government.
Which they have declared.
They are not
every year.
They are not even a revenue generation body.
Good.
So what they're even doing is so I mean, what I'm saying is that they have enough money. Set aside this exam and conduct a fresh one. That's one. Now they're saying that they've reviewed it. It affected a particular region. They're going to go and reprint their photo card and they're going to sit for the exam again. But that's not enough because you are still going to find pockets of here and there. Because this review they did was they hurried, they just rushed. You understand? There are still glitches here and there that must be checked. And the situations under which you took the children through is the issue. Now the comparison. JAMB is trying to fix the mistakes. But for INEC made it a permanent mistake.
No remorse.
No remorse. Announced the result in the midnight, in the early hours of the morning. And the outcome of that result is what we are living with today. And we're living below our capacity, our earnings, our whatsoever. Our life have never remained the same since the day that result was announced in date. That is why it is important. When you make a mistake, you must go back to the drawing board and correct that mistake, or set aside that whole result and do a fresh one. If JAMB do not set aside that result, so many people will still be complaining
yes.
years from now.
From other regions.
Just like we're all complaining about Tinubu till today. So JAMB must do something.
Very true. What comes to mind is how effective nature is awesome. It has a way of balancing itself at all times, whenever it finds opportunity. What's happening to JAMB now reminds me of Mesoma, the young lady from Anambra, that of course falsified her results. I remember what JAMB did. This same man, Oloyede, barred this young girl from ever sitting for exams for the next 5 years. Very, very dreadful way of going about that particular. Now the question is, would this same man equally allow himself go through the same draconian measure he allowed for Mesoma? Because what goes around should come around. If he had allowed that happen to that young lady, he should equally allow it come to
No,
him.
he's crying. He's crying.
Mesoma should just have
Mesoma should have cried and allow her to sit for.
We're not old enough.
Yes, so what wasn't as good as that of.
This man is crying. He's crying for the optics. So it's for the optics.
I've got just like Ponde now. The DCMD that collapsed.
That collapsed. When he discovered that the allegations were overwhelming and there was no way out, he just fainted.
But surprisingly, at the same time, funnily, University of Ilorin, where he was, I think he was the VP.
Vice Chancellor.
Just sent a letter and said he was a great man. He did well. At least he was accountable.
To UNN.
He was
UNN ASU.
Exactly. So we can see the divide. Some for, some against. Rather than having a uniform voice to call a spade and say this is bad, let's find a way to resolving it. Now, other universities from the southwest might follow suit and equally write letters in defense of this man.
But it's not about fire. Because the analogy you gave with the tennis game. Ours is that we deliberately don't even want to do the right thing. We always think in terms of is either black or white. Now the allegations, and I'm happy that about the suit, and then the freedom of information requests that have been made. Because there's an allegation that in Lagos, that those problems came up in 3 local governments, Ojo, Amu, Odofin, and one other local government, that are heavily populated by Igbos. That's an allegation that's still hanging. And then look at the southeast. I mean, people should be politically sensitive when they do things. Because when people now, when the southeasters cried marginalization, you say it's not justified. Well, look at your actions. Your actions tend to reinforce that notion. So the thing is that, like, the case said, Nigerians should learn to speak the truth. The way those in public office, the way they multiply lies, is as if when they hold meetings, Federal Executive Council meetings and other meetings, it's just how to manufacture lies.
But the way the entire story sloped into ethnic issues is one that's very surprising to me. I've been looking at it since morning, and somebody just came up with this narrative that it was targeted at. Are we still here?
But you know what led to it? Some people came up on X to say that the head of the ICT,
is an
Igbo man, Mr. Fabian Okoro. So he should be held responsible. But people now came back to say it was one Mrs. B. Usman, a Yoruba woman who is the head of ICT. So the ethnic thing now took off.
And her
from there.
It's not on the website.
It's not on the website. The photos of other officers of JAMB are on the website, but her photos. So you see, that is why when I talk about these false errors, because there are so many mischief makers everywhere.
But why is it that this lack of trust? Because
That is it.
I don't want to believe this ethnic thing that that somebody will go and because of ethnicity in jam for children will go and mix. I find it very difficult to believe.
It's
That
really absurd.
is,
But, but if care is not taken, you will find out that with this
who will be doing that? So I think this is really this is shocking, really.
It's shocking. Well, the conversation continues. When we return, Juror Henry Igwebuike will be here with his case titled Gowon, Villain or Hero. Do stay tuned.
Thank you so very much for being here. My case, Gowon, villain or hero. General Yakubu Gowon recently on an interview said that the 1966, 1983 and annulment of the 1993 elections were truly unnecessary. He stated that several military incursions and stay in office deeply affected the strength of democracy. The catch question on the lips of everyone remains, is General Yakubu Gowon stating the obvious in regret of his many involvements. Initially, Gowon promised a return to civilian rule by 1976. However, on October 1, 1974, he announced an indefinite postponement of this transition, citing the need to address corruption and inflation. This decision led to widespread dissatisfaction among Nigerians who had anticipated a restoration of democratic governance. Secondly, Gowon's regime centralized authority, diminishing the autonomy of regional governments, although he partially lifted the ban on political activities in 1972 to discuss a new constitution. The subsequent debates were curtailed and political dissent was suppressed. This centralization hindered the development of democratic institutions and processes. The period under General Yakubu Gowon saw an oil boom, resulting in increased national revenue. However, the administration faced allegations of widespread corruption and mismanagement of resources. The culmination of these issues led to Gowon's ousting in a bloodless coup on July 29, 1975, while he was attending the Organization of African Unity Summit. His removal reflected the military's dissatisfaction with his leadership and the public's desire for a return to democratic governance. My verdict: General Yakubu Gowon, who led Nigeria from 1966 to 1975, played a significant role in the interruption of democratic governance during his tenure. His administration, though marked by efforts to maintain national unity, exhibited several actions that contributed to the erosion of democratic principle. Is Gowon a villain or a hero?
Well, it's an enigma in this case, and we don't know if these are prelude to him writing his own book writing towards the old age, his image.
Do you think he will ever bring out a book?
But I think that there are objective things the general can do. We should be among those who speak publicly, vehemently, against the senseless killings of people in Plateau State. He should speak directly, speak at it. He himself, Senator George Akume, Gabriel Suswam. If you are from a state where they kill, anyhow, be seen to stand in public and condemn the killing, irrespective of your party affiliations or aspiration. Yakubu Gowon, I think he became president and head of state in 1966 in August. And at the time he was 31. 9 years later, at 40, he was ousted. And it's 49 years since then. I cannot put my finger on what the general gentleman has been doing. But for 49 years, of course, he has been envoy, especially.
He has been praying.
Yeah.
Nigeria prays.
And I think Nigeria has gone around the circle where some of these people should speak truths that can liberate the country.
But what he's doing now does not amount to truth that can liberate the country, because he is a beneficiary of this military incursion, and he is coming out to say that it was unnecessary, that the long stay of military was unnecessary, whereas he was there for a very long time.
9 years.
9 years.
A long time, 9 years, even when he made a projection when the country would return to democracy. He postponed it, okay, and then did all whatnot. So coming to tell us today that his sojourn for 9 years was unnecessary is an irony. It's an irony because is it that he's coming to his senses now, or is it that he's regretting his actions? I mean, we're not very clear on what it is, but the long stay was as a result of his own autocratic decision to refuse Nigeria to return to democracy. So those years he expended actually was what drew Nigeria backward, okay? And at that time, when Nigeria had the oil boom and all that, when some Nigerians were out of school, those ones who were out of school at that time are the ones that are the insurgents today, or the ones leading or managing, organizing the insurgency today, okay? So whatever Nigeria is today is as a result of the decisions they took at that time. They made wrong decisions, undemocratic decisions, and even when we had the oil boom, Nigeria, they didn't know what to do with the resources, they didn't know what to do with the money and all that, and it drew Nigeria backward. So I don't know what to make out of his utterances in this case, because it's neither here nor there. Is he saying this now as a repentant? Is he now a Democrat, or is he saying it as a repentant? What do you call them now? These military people, this military despot, or what do you call it? Is it what exactly is it? What should we do now with this thing he's telling us?
No, the thing is, I say go on. I think he loves to engage in revisionism, in dubious revisionism. Gowon became head of state, after the killing of General Agironsi and Colonel Adekunle Faji. Now, one of the reasons they gave was that Ironsi, that he centralized leadership with Decree 34 of 1966. Now, the question, any day I meet Gowon, one question I want to ask him is that you ousted Ironsi on the basis of that decree. Why didn't you restore the regions? You waited to consolidate for 1 year, then the following year, after the Republic of Biafra was declared, on May 30, 1967, you now created 12 states. Why didn't you return power to the regions? You see why I say he's engaging in a strange revision of history. And then, when he's saying the 1966 coup was unnecessary, is he trying to pretend about the reasons given by Nzogu in his broadcast about why they struck? Even Major Ademoega in his book, Why We Struck, is he trying to now say that those reasons were not valid? Because some people have challenged Gowon. Why was there jubilation in some parts of the north when the news came out that the Sadana had been killed? Why? People have asked questions. 1967, the coup was about Araba, separate Nigeria, declare northern Nigeria, until the British High Commissioner at that time, I think, advised them not to go that route, that instead they should talk about Nigeria. Because for some hours after the coup, I understand that Ikeja cantonment, that the flag of Araba, the secessionist flag, was flying at Ikeja cantonment for some hours until Britain advised them, no, don't go that way. Fly the Nigerian flag, take over Nigeria. And then they changed their minds. The third question I would like to ask the one is, the Aburi Accord why did he not work on implementing the Aburi Accord? He's saying that those coup plots were not necessary. Okay, let's say 1966 was not necessary. Let's say their own counter coup was not necessary. But why did he not implement the Aburi Accord, which actually led to the other coups? Because the Aburi Accord was essentially about restore power to the regions. Because each region had its own template for development. And that is what we are facing today. The crisis of state creation was caused by Gowon. And that is the crisis we are facing in Nigeria today. The regions found their balance. Because all that would have happened. Look at the Midwest. Brilliant. It was a brilliant move, even though it was said to have been done to antagonize Awolowo, who was, I think, in prison at that time. But by excising the Midwest from the Western region, it solved a lot of problems that could have arisen. In fact, maybe that's where the war could have even started earlier. If you remember 1967, when Adakaboro, Major Isaac Adakaboro, led that 7-day, was it 7-day or 12-day, that 12-day resistance, it was Colonel Chukwu Emeka Madunagu who put it down. And that's one of the reasons why those riverine people in Niger Delta, that's one of the things they have against the Southeast. But these things are not voiced. And that's one of the reasons why they actually sided with the federal troops when they went through, when they went through the sea,
The Cameroonian border.
Yes. So that has remained the major problem. Go and look at the demands, the agreement, the Aburi agreement, the Aburi Accord. We like to engage in just running around issues. The Aburi Accord remains,
And the reason for the state creation was not tenable
at all.
Because
you said to break the Biafra. But even at that, you have even created more problems.
problem was created. That's what I'm saying.
Because the regions, look at Midwest. All you needed to do was create another Midwest in the central, in the middle belt. If another Midwest had been created in the middle belt, you call it middle belt, I'm telling you, Nigeria wouldn't be in this crisis today. Because the Christian minorities
It would have balanced.
They would have found their own. And that's why you had Joseph Taka and the rest of them. That's why they kept fighting and fighting and fighting. And it is still the situation today. Because if you look at it, the people who even made it impossible to attain the Aburi Accord are the ones now fighting for recognition. The Fulanis. They are the ones now talking of, let's have a Fulani Federation. The Hausas are the ones now saying, we have been marginalized. We have been neglected. You can see, look at Gowon's place. Pangshin, in Plateau State. Look at Benue. Look at all that is going on. Why? You sold a dog. Is that how they say? You sold a dog and bought a monkey. And at the end of the day, it was a four-legged animal. So I think, this case is very important. And we need to come back to it from time to time.
Time to time.
Because
very historical.
Because they think by removing history from the curriculum that Nigerians will not ask questions. But Nigerians are asking questions today. What really led to the civil war? The refusal to implement the Aburi Accord. Then if you now say, okay, that the annulment of June 12 was not necessary, but go on. You said the other time that you had never belonged to a political party. But it's not true because you engaged, you ran for president now in your ward in Kaduna. Now, why didn't you speak up when Babangida annulled the election? We never had Gowon's voice. When Abacha played all the games he did, we never had Gowon's voice. Why did he keep quiet? Why is he talking now? Abiola is dead more than 30 years. And he's now saying that was not necessary.
What do we make of what he's saying now?
To me, I think we should ask him questions. Go on. We should list all these things. What did you do about these issues? Because it's this answer, but he won't answer. He won't answer because he will still look for another one. So like Juror Henry said, that is it a prelude to a book? But You see, if you put together things he has said in the last 40 years, you can actually make a book.
Very
You just take his quotes here and there. Take his quotes, take the things he has said, including the things he said under Nigeria Press. A brilliant author or a group of authors can actually make a book.
Very well.
Because truly, Nigerians will be waiting to read that book, because
Ojukwu never wrote.
he didn't write anything, you know. So we sincerely hope that that Yakubu Gowon should.
Because I'm involved, though. He didn't write anything.
Not him. There are some biographies to it.
No, we're talking about Ojukwu.
Ojukwu.
No, that's a third party narration. We're talking about Ojukwu himself.
The first person narrative.
Exactly. And I think we should equally have a first person narrative from Yakubu Gowon. He shouldn't go until he writes a book. And I think it's very important that we all get to read that particular book, because history remains and would continue to be with us. But when we understand it better, I think we would make peace with one another. That's a wrap on this session of The Middlemen. Keep the conversation going on all social media platforms when you visit us at Enterprise TV7, and let your voice count. Until next time, stay informed, stay safe, and have yourself a splendid time. Bye-bye from us.